All right. And hello. Welcome to the You Amaze Me recording with myself, Amanda Baker. And we have Alix Sharp here, which is so exciting because this is the very first time I've had an in-person guest. And you may remember her from the recording that we did on Are You a Therapist Without Having Your License, technically. And it's just amazing because if you remember from that recording, we shared how we met, and I had no idea that she was from Maryland. She was in California at the time. We recorded while she was in California, not having known each other ever met. Turns out she's from here and she's been home now for like a month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize you've never done this in person. Your first in-person guest. I love that. That seems very fitting for our whole, like, how we met and
Yeah.
our first podcast. This feels very full circle.
Full circle, full circle. So yes, this is the first time that I've ever had anybody in person recording this way. So welcome to my space. We are on our floor cushions and you could just see the background. But yeah, it's just been so amazing to one communicate and build a friendship with you over the past month or so, but then also to have you come here and meet in person and do this together.
No, I know. It's funny because it feels like our first one was in person. Like just like coming in the door and meeting you, it was like I already knew you.
Yeah.
We already met. We already done this, but we haven't.
Right, right, because we did it, but I feel the same way that it felt like we've already met in person before, just us talking on the couch before actually recording.
I love excited.
Yes, yes. So this is with the space where story meets soul and soul meets story, and you got to share your story in our first recording. So just curious what life has been like for you since then, or if there's more from what we discussed, kind of story-wise, that you want to share.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like when we first chatted and had that episode, I feel like I was kind of in this like really good place, or was really in this on this like hive almost in this really good place. And I feel like between right after that episode and then just up until maybe a couple weeks ago, I feel like not that I like plummeted down, but like life just kind of got like really hard, or like I wasn't in such a like good, happy place. And it felt like so jarring, like it came out of nowhere. And it was really hard to be like, what the heck? I just had so many like good months, so many good things happen and experiences to then be like, wow, everything feels really hard and like not good right now. But like, that's such a reminder that that's like how life is. Like, you're not always going to have highs. And when you do have highs, there's going to come the lows. And even with the lows, you still have to find your joy and take care of yourself. And I feel like the last couple months, like since our episode, since like we chatted, was a lot of me having to re reground and like reroot. I know we've kind of had talked about that, like the rerouting, not that I need to plant like new roots, but just rerouting in my routine. Because when we chatted, I've not in Maryland, I was in California. I've been traveling a bunch, and I think months of traveling, not being home, being out of my like home routine, it was getting harder to just stick to any sort of routine. And so by the time I got home, it was just I felt like I was having to start over, but in reality, I just needed to slow down and get back to what I was already doing.
Mm-hmm. So when you say rerouting, it's like almost as if reconnecting with the roots that have already been established
Yeah.
and centering back into them or connecting back with what is your probably like center point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It's hard. Like they say it's hard to like, make habits. And even then, once you make a habit and you don't do it for a while, you break it, it's hard to reestablish. Like it was really hard for me, even though I knew the things I was doing was going to be helpful or that I enjoyed doing, it was still hard and almost like a fight, like resistance to like start doing them again. But then of course, as soon as I did it, I was like, okay, I feel better and it's helpful.
Yes.
But like, man, the human like brain really like likes to fight you.
Oh, so much. And from what you had shared in our first recording and getting to know you then too, was kind of this journey of coming back to yourself, one of your like authenticity. But when maybe we haven't been in that authentic place for very long, and we've kind of had to create all these like layers and these masks and these defense mechanisms and ways of being, whether it's people pleasing or imposter syndrome. And when that has been more of the habit, but then you went kind of into this journey of rediscovering yourself and living more fully as you, the messiness of you, that sometimes I've found that once we're there, maybe we haven't fully stepped into it. There's kind of like one foot in that door and then one foot in the other door. You can kind of fall back. It almost like the mind, the ego, those protective defenses want to bring you back. And it's whether it's like a test or a way of, like you said, that resistance of coming back into, no, I've done all of this work, all of this routine to connect to your roots. And then something kind of breaks that connection just for a period of time, whether life is testing you or the outside world is like kind of shifting the inside because you had to travel back home, just life circumstances that lead you to kind of fall back into old habits. And you're like, no, I've created new habits and I'm determined, it sounds like, to like move through that resistance and continue being, more of yourself or whatever like your purpose is. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, and I will say in this scenario, my stubbornness like pays off in that way. Like,
Thank you for saying that.
yes, because I was like, no, I worked too damn hard to let this all go. Like, no, I was just so stubborn and being like, I don't care if I have to redo it every day, retry every day. I'm not giving up on implementing back some of the things I was doing, like journaling, meditating. I mean, I have a friend who is really into meditating, and he sent me like a free 30-day like trial for this app, and was like, and I was even told him, I was like, I haven't tried it yet. Every day he like, have you started meditating?
Oh.
No. And I was like, don't worry, I'm going to, like, I'm so, and like finally I did. I texted him like, I finally did it. Like, I knew I was gonna get to it, but like,
yes.
Again, the stubbornness kind of can work in both ways. I can be so stubborn in a way that's not helpful, but in this scenario where I was like, no, I'm determined and I'm stubborn to implement things I know was so helpful. It got me to where I am. So like, I also want to get to it.
Yes. Do you mind sharing that app? What's it called?
Where's my phone? It's called, it's Talk. Oh, Waking Up.
Waking Up. Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's like different options. So like you can do it's cool too, because when you first start it, like walks you through like what it's designed for and how to use it.
Okay.
And obviously like, I've had experience with meditation through like grad school and yoga. And there's different options of like, you can do like the guided meditation. There's also one if you want to do it at night, and like a sleep one.
Oh, awesome.
And like reflection questions. It's cool. Meditating does help.
Yes.
It does work.
Yes, it does. It really does. And that is something that I do regularly myself. I try to do it twice a day, morning and at night. And I change up kind of what I'm doing. I'm just listening to a lot of things on YouTube or even just breathing. But when people ask me like kind of what's the first thing to do if they're working on themselves or their mental health or they're going through challenges or they want to be more present, it's breath and meditation.
Right, because it makes you slow down.
It makes you slow down. And that can be so hard for people.
So hard. I mean, it's hard for me. I mean, the first few meditations I did, I mean, you're not supposed to like judge yourself or your thoughts. The whole thing is like they come, you accept them as they are, you let them float away. And I'm aware of that, but like, because I've had moments of like, I would say, truly being present and being more in the meditation, the first few times it was rough. Like, my brain was nonstop. I wasn't really meditating. You know what I mean? Like, I was just sitting still and quiet.
Yeah, but that is a practice. Like, that's the beginner's meditation of people think often that meditation is just clearing your mind or feeling relaxed, but actually it's the witnessing of being uncomfortable. And so if that's what you were doing and you committed to staying in that for as long as maybe the first few guided practices are, that's what leads you to then open up to doing it for longer or feeling like you aren't as activated by that or just being able to be more in that stillness and the discomfort eases.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, I needed like the reminder that I can sit with the discomfort. Because if you like get away from it for a while, you kind of
Hmm.
start doubting or rethinking, like, can I actually do it? But like you've already done it, so of course you can do it again.
Yep. Yes.
And then just it also made me realize how many thoughts or how fast I had been moving because there were so many thoughts coming. And clearly it was like I needed to slow down. I need to let these kind of thoughts come forward, give attention to them and let them pass. And like, almost instantaneously, you feel more relaxed and at ease.
Yes.
And like space is freed up.
Yes. So curious, would you say that it was because you said like it was a difficult time for you? Were the thoughts a big part of that? Were the thoughts is what was so difficult? Was it the emotions? You know me, like thoughts,
Yeah.
emotions,
Yeah.
body. So like which stands out, or maybe it was all of that?
I feel like it wasn't, I don't really feel like it was the thoughts. I feel like it was honestly more so like wanting to like escape and avoid just real life things I didn't
Okay.
want to face. So if
Mm-hmm.
I slowed down, I had to address them. But if I was just moving and going,
Yeah.
there's no time to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
but that's also not sustainable. And I also knew if I kept going down that path, I was going to create more problems later. And I've done too much work for that. Again, me being stubborn, like, no, you've come too far. You can let yourself have this for a little bit, but like you need to
Yeah.
get
Just
back.
to commend that part of you, the stubbornness that it's like, no, and to go into spaces, whether it's meditation or again, the recognition of why you've been avoiding, and then having to spend time confronting what it is that would come up. Again, the value of meditation isn't this like, I do meditation to relax. It's I do meditation for the growth and the perspectives or insights that can come from holding the space for what it is you still need to confront.
Yes. Now I'm not going to sit here and say I'm now back to meditating twice a day. I'm not. I'm still not meditating every day.
That's okay.
But it's a thought in my head, and
Uh-huh.
we're we'll get back to a solid routine. But I feel like just like anything, like you need breaks, and I feel like it might have been that I had such a long span of like intense kind of growth
Mm-hmm.
that you can't constantly be working on yourself. And even though I didn't feel like I was working hard on that way, like you kind of get burned down that too, and like need to kind of take a break.
Take a break, of course.
But I definitely it was good. I always say everything we learn is just more evidence, and like the more like you can do better with
Mhm.
when you have that information. And so I feel like that rough couple months, which looking back, honestly, it actually was probably a span of like 2 months, yet it felt like 6 months
Wow, okay.
because time does weird things.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Was just crazy to see how like just like 2 months or whatever of getting away from the routine I had of like journaling, exercising, also just not traveling as much, like really kind of spun me and the importance of like, okay, when I am traveling, 'cause I know that is a part of my life and I'm not always going to be home, having being more diligent on my routine, especially when I'm traveling.
Mhm.
Because even while traveling, I was doing my best to do what I would do at home, but it's not the same. And so I think for me moving forward, I know like maybe I need like a special routine for when I'm traveling, like a special, like I know I'm probably not going to have time to meditate twice a day. So maybe it's like making sure I just have 5 minutes.
Something that you can, like, slip in that's quick
Yeah.
because, yeah, meditating can also be walking, or it's like a mindfulness practice if you're doing the dishes or
Yeah.
brushing your teeth or when you're eating food, telling your brain, "This is a form of mindfulness or meditation that you're still doing."
And really carving out time for like stillness,
Uh-huh.
even if it's just 5 minutes.
Even if it's 5 minutes. Yes.
That stillness is imperative.
It is. Appreciating the aspects that are like stay busy so that you don't have to feel that discomfort, and then also the aspects that are like, okay, I can do this, I'm ready for this, even if it's 5 minutes of noticing what's coming up when you're in those minutes with
Yeah.
yourself. Yes. And you mentioned a good point about not like recognizing constantly trying to heal or constantly trying to grow, right? Like, I think that sometimes can be a way of escaping and avoiding. of what's the intention behind, or what's the energy behind someone pushing themselves to heal and grow, because that sends the message to your brain and your subconscious of, I'm not accepting where I am. I don't like where I am. I think I need to be better. And a big piece that stood out from our original recording is, living, kind of being a way of learning and growing, like living presently, living authentically, going out and dancing, spending time with your friends, being silly and being a little more impulsive or spontaneous. Like, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to read this book and I'm going to journal on it, and that's how I'm healing and growing or working on myself, versus the I'm living, and also a part of living is stillness.
Right. And I think that's where, for me, I'm still, as most of us, that balance,
Yes.
learning and being quicker. I will say I feel like I'm quicker to check in with myself, which I think is, for me, is a huge sign. And again, noticing a lot faster when something feels off,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how to address it faster.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is all you can really ask for.
Yes. Yeah. Is that your responses to yourself are better, or your awareness of things is more trusted? Maybe that's what it's like. Oh, I trust myself that if I'm getting this signal, I'm receiving it and pausing for it, listening, being curious towards it. And that can happen faster, so that, maybe you don't fall into the old habits where you sabotage something, or
Or
feel
not like staying there as well.
as long. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. So even for myself, since our recording, I was going through this period of, how do I want to show up as a therapist? And am I actually a therapist if I'm practicing in a way that's not technically what I learned in school, or even in earlier jobs of working in community mental health, or um, outpatient private practice offices, and specific models of therapy. And so our conversation was just really helpful for me, to open up the space to have the conversation, and then even feedback that I got from people. So hearing whether it was from colleagues or friends or random people on the internet, just like assuring and kind of confirming, like, hey, it's okay to practice this way, where I started coming more from a place of like authenticity and living presently as the therapeutic interventions, and the value in more of my own self-disclosure and sharing more of myself, and doing that more in community. And so I've kind of gone back and forth of like, do I get to still call myself a therapist, or do I have to call myself something else? Can it technically be under this license? What are the lines? Like dual relationships. Wild what the brain does.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I can't even make a move. I'm paralyzed because my brain is like, this is not what you learned. This is what other people say. And here's what my like heart and intuition are saying. Here's what these clients are telling me of like, hey, we really value like the community space. And so I decided to create this cohort, because I have the community Alchemize, and that, as people know if they've listened and heard my story about that, coming up pretty spontaneously, and having these monthly group meetings with, it's like about 12, 15 people that are in it total, but wanting to do something more specific for people on really accessing their intuition. And so I created the cohort, like Awakening Your Authentic Power, and inviting you to be a part of it. And you've come to a few. So I'm curious what that experience has been like for you, if there's anything you want to share about it.
Yeah, so I've been in the past, I think I've been a part of like a few different like online group things. Not exactly, I mean, none are the exact same.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not just saying this because that's just not how I am, but like truly what you've created is by far one of the best things
Mhm.
I've been a part of.
Wow.
Um,
I just gotta take that in.
yeah, no, please, and I truly mean it.
Thank you.
Literally, there was one of the
Yeah.
calls I was sitting on
Mm.
where I was like, yeah, no, I would like endorse this to everyone, tell people that you should like sign up, and like this is worth the money.
Thank you.
Because I think it's a unique space I think you've created that I've never really experienced anywhere. I think you weave in so many different aspects that like, speak to me. I mean, I know it would probably wouldn't be for everyone, but I love
Mhm.
the the meditation aspect. I love the card pulling aspect. I love the hot seat coaching. Like it's it's like therapeutic without it being so like rigid
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
what maybe people think therapy is or is going to be. It feels very like flexible,
Mhm.
intuitive, and every single call I was on was such almost like divine timing because every single call something was said or a card was pulled or a quote was read that fit exactly with what I like needed at that in that time or in that day.
That's amazing.
Especially that one day I think I told you I wasn't even gonna come. I
Yeah,
had this like
right.
resistance of like I
Right.
had the time, but I just don't want to show up. I was like, I don't want to hop on. I'm tired. I'm never. And I was like, Alex, if you're being this resistant towards it, that means you need to do it. And it was on that
That.
call that I had this like breakthrough moment.
I love that. I love the if I'm having resistance to it, that means I need to do it. And I think sometimes people fall into this resistance or this anxiety means no. But when we can move into and through the resistance, and even if it's just showing up and there's people who come to the cohort and they have their camera off, they don't see a thing, but they're present there, like there. They're
Mhm.
still getting something, they're listening. And that's why I've made this so flexible. Because everybody's at their own point, like in their journey or where they are with how their nervous system is for them. And so that's why, again, it's offered like two different times of the day. We had one discussion in one of the groups where it was really about, the 9 to 5 kind of stereotype of working, where some people's best self, their like efficiency, their energy is different than somebody else. Some people work best early in the morning, some in the mid afternoon, some late at night. And so I want to model other people can start to step into. And that modeling of me, coming into creating this where I'm like, I don't have a plan. Like, I don't have each week, like, there's an online course that I haven't even like written. And I just write it kind of the week of. And to hear you say, you come in and it feels like divine timing, because that's what I trust and I believe in. And that's what I've experienced myself from going from someone who was super type A, like anal retentive, plan everything, have scripts for everything, know exactly what I'm doing for each therapy session or a yoga class that I'm teaching. And then over time, like completely throwing that out and being like, is this working for this individual? Which then grew to, well, wow, what could be adaptable and work for a group of people where then others get to witness each other. And that's what that like hot seat therapy is. Because even then, what I'm guiding and facilitating for one person might not be exactly what another person needs, but they get something from it to go in and to get exactly what you need, but also be in that vulnerable space of being seen just has shown how powerful it is. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
you sharing your
No,
experience.
I mean, just that one. I think it might have even been like the first group I was in where we we did a guided talked us through a guided meditation. And part of the reason I had been kind of avoiding meditating and sitting still is because I
Mm,
knew as soon as I did, I was going to cry, which is not a bad thing. I just was like, I don't have time, I don't have time for this, which again
wow. Yeah.
isn't
Uh,
isn't a great thing either. But I so as soon as you started, my eyes shut, it was like boom, here come the tears. N- in the past, God forbid anyone saw me cry, let alone strangers. That was like not going to happen. I've worked past that where now I'm okay with crying in front of people more so. But I just let myself cry, and then I was stayed on camera, and I opened my eyes, and I had been crying.
yeah.
But it was so, like, healing because I wasn't the only one who had that emotional reaction,
Hmm.
and I love that that other person also let us see theirs, and so, like, that community aspect, and like I shared on that call, was that what I was experiencing, what I talked about was so much more helpful than the like support group I had been in for the specific issue. And like
Uh-huh.
that's not what this group was for. And yet I got way more out of it just because I think of the space you created and what was brought in. It just was a better fit. Anything to do with like the specific issue.
But it access something or you could relate it. Something in you was able to relate and make that connection that provided insight and wisdom for yourself. And really the crux of the group is trust, is self-trust. And so if we don't have that self-trust, I think you can go into any sort of healing or therapeutic modality and it's not going to be as effective. So if the therapist or a healer or whoever, professional, whatever, isn't establishing that trust between you and the practitioner or facilitator, but as well as between the person and themselves, there's going to be resistance right there too. And it won't likely feel like it's working. And so something that you trusted in you to, again, show up that day, and then trusting the meditation, which to me indicates, well, what's going to create that trust? A safe place, a place that feels safe, that feels welcoming. And that's why, like you said, the cohorts aren't going to be for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's been people that I have felt a resonance with that also have divinely like come into my life. So random, but again, it's me opening and trusting that I can receive or that people will come into my life and not knowing exactly how or
Yeah, and then I think that also helps trusting that when it doesn't work out, if someone comes in and they're not a good fit and they exit, it's okay, they weren't meant to be here.
Yeah,
And
and that's
you can
okay.
kind of accept that so much quicker and easier and faster because you're like, great, who's meant to be here is staying and who's not is gone. And thank you for leaving fast.
It's like, yes, hopefully they're listening to themselves and that they can be guided to the next thing that will hopefully help them. Yeah. I mean, that's also like trial and error and the importance of being able to say, as a practitioner of I'm not going to be the best fit for everyone and making that clear early on and working through, there can be that initial like, oh man, that doesn't feel so good.
Yeah.
I think that's human. But being able to like work through that.
Well, because even on a human level, we're not for everyone.
Exactly.
So why would we be for everyone in a professional setting or any other setting?
Yes.
So we're just not everyone's for everyone.
Yes. Yeah. They're not. So, well, it feels like you are a part of this group and community that it is for you. And I'm so grateful that you benefited from it.
Well, I'm so grateful you started and it wanted me a part of it because, yeah, it's, like I said, I've gotten more from that than anything the last couple months for sure.
And it's amazing to really be a part of and to facilitate and witness you all and go into it from a place of like doing guided meditations that I haven't planned in the moment. I think I remember the one that you were in. We were like walking down steps.
Yeah.
And that came to me in the moment. And again with the card pulls and which we're gonna do here today. I have the deck here. But those things, again, it's like that's not anything I learned in therapy or from school, I should say, from school for being a therapist. But therapy to me, and when I've looked up the definition of it being, something that heals a disorder. And I've broken down the word disorder to be just something in you is out of order in your authentic self. Whether that's, to me, it's not a label. It's the signals of not being authentic. And so I feel I can very confidently say I am facilitating therapy if I'm helping people come back to the order within themselves.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it kind of goes back to like licensing boards. Like there's always been healers, there's always been therapists. We just now have different language for it. And I will never, of course I understand why there's laws, rules, regulations that's important to protect people.
Yes.
And at the same time, I don't think it's fair to say someone is only something if they have letters behind their name. Because those are new. That didn't always exist.
That's true. Yes, in like the hundreds of years. I don't know when the actual licensing came about, but exactly. These ways of supporting and caring for each other and whether it's medical or mental health have always been around. And they used to be done in communities and villages. And so to feel like that word rerouting also came up as in like the cohort of rerouting back into that, even if I wasn't alive for when those ways of healing circles and supporting each other in that way existed, it feels very much a part of me. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah. Well, shall we pull a card?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I have the Therapist 2 Tarot deck. I don't think I've used this on any of the recordings, but I did use it in the last cohort from last week, and it's, as usual, like you said, been very fitting.
And I wasn't on that call.
Right. You weren't there. So it's great to be able to have you shuffle and pull.
Oh my God, it's been so long.
So there you go.
Good.
Yes, and they're still like in newish condition, so they don't shuffle as well. So take your time and just feel which one.
Okay.
Hand me that one, but then you still go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 'cause that one fell.
It just seemed like it was sticking out.
It was
Yes. So the one that somewhat fell that stood out to me is the King of Swords. And are you familiar with like the meanings?
I feel like I've had that card pulled a few times.
Okay.
Like in different points of my life, which is
Mhm.
interesting, but I don't recall exactly what that one means.
Yeah. And I'm not as versed either. I think when you go through like trainings or really getting to work with the cards, you're supposed to like memorize what each one means. And really for me, even though I have books and stuff on it, I've just come to know the cards more from pulling with others or reading from booklets. And even this book, this is the Tarot Priestess journey. And it's not technically the booklet that goes with these cards. This card doesn't have a booklet, but I really like this book. It goes through like the whole tarot journey from the point of a priestess, so like the more feminine, whereas like the hero's journey to me is more of like a masculine. And so I've been using this one, and I'll read the King of Swords. Though I've been doing some lives every other week with Charlotte Logan, who's been on the podcast with me, I think twice as well. And I think during the live, this is what I pulled. So, and that was just Monday. We did it the Monday before Christmas. So just this last Monday. And it says grace under pressure. And so swords, and again, for each person, you kind of take what intuitively comes up for you when you're reading it. So sometimes you might look at the card and go to like what element it resides with, or you might look at a card and go into something of the picture, which to me, again, this, even though it's a king card, which you could think king masculine, the picture is pretty feminine. It does look like a woman kind of body to me. And then it has the like multiple swords kind of, either you could view it going into her or coming out to her. Though what the swords represents are your cognitions and your thoughts. And what I believe, and I'll read it from here again, but what I believe came up on Monday in the reading with the card is, considering kind of all the options before making a decision. So you have all these thoughts per se, like all of these ideas coming. And the grace is, I feel pressured to maybe have to decide or have to think about it in this way, or do I think about it this way, or do I think about it this way? And the grace is like slowing down and observing all of the swords, and they don't have to cut you, right? You don't need to attack outwards. And sometimes we're like, oh no, this thing's happening, like we're ready to fight. Or, oh, I'm being hit with all these things. But it's like letting them be all right there and then pausing. So that's kind of my take. I'll read it. There's also questions, which this question stands out in our conversation. How might you improve your self-care regimen? So
divine time.
When we're talking about your routine and rerouting and getting back to your routine or creating your own travel routine. So yes, how might you improve your self-care? What feels out of balance in your life? What compromise do you most regret?
Wow, those are really on point.
Not surprised.
Never surprised.
Yeah. So we can think about those questions, and if you want to answer any of them after I read, or do you want to look at the other card? Feeling.
Let's look at the other card.
Okay. That's why I think I paused, because I was like, I think wait,
Yeah.
we need to look at the other card. Oh, Three of Cups.
That one I know for sure has been pulled for me multiple times. Again, I don't remember why or what, but the cups.
The cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cups is emotions. So even on Monday, it wasn't this card that we pulled, but we had two, and it was, I believe, emotions. I think it was swords and emotions. So thoughts and feelings, and sometimes we're very like rational and into our thinking and utilize like intellectualizing to kind of bypass emotions, and the importance of balance, what feels out of balance in your life, of the water. So water is emotions. And so the Three of Cups, which here says community, which again is like the second part of our conversation of creating these cohorts, having this community. And, it's like a coming together. The Three of Cups is very celebratory. It's like a celebration of the people in your life and the harmony of emotions that you might feel when you are attuned and connected to that community. So yeah, that's really beautiful too. And the questions: what disturbs your peace?
That's wild because I actually journaled on that not too long ago.
Wow. What? Yeah. See? Well, and I was going to say, backtracking a bit because I forgot to say it, with the rerouting, and you in the cohort group, the one that you were talking about, I know you've come to more than one, but the one that you were talking about, was that when you ended up writing that Substack, the like article, the article, but yeah, your Substack like blog piece?
I think so. After it.
After
I
it.
think so.
Yeah. And just whether it's like this flowing, water's also like flowing, of you were a part of this like group, you were in this community, and then from that can be like this sense of like like creativity or ideas kind of flowing out of you, and that you share it. Like, I think what you've created on your Substack is just a wonderful thing that you've put out there, to share like your heart and soul and your thoughts and wisdom with others as well. I don't know if it brings you peace doing that, but that's the next question. What brings you peace?
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
It's wild because literally I was like maybe less than a month ago, a lot of my journaling prompts I like made for myself had to do with peace. Like, what's disturbing my peace? What do I need to bring it back?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. And for the listeners too, to take this as your own journal prompts, the things in your self-care like regiment, being whether it's meditation, whether it's reflecting on what brings you peace, having that be a part of the way that you care for yourself, and to explore then what does disturb it and then what brings you back.
Yeah. It's funny. So what disturbs my peace, or what was disturbing my peace, was actually like me. It was myself. I think I used to be the kind of person that was very outward, like maybe swords pointing out, how are you? How are these people? Why are they affecting my peace? Why are they disturbing my peace? And I'm now much more quick to look at how I'm creating my own problems and disrupting my own peace, which like isn't fun. Like, who really wants to like do that? But it's important. I think the sooner you can accept that and hold yourself accountable, the sooner you can address what's going on and move through it.
Yeah.
And make things a little more peaceful.
Yeah, because when we take that ownership and accountability of, oh, I'm the one disturbing my peace, that can be empowering and liberating, because then you have control over you.
Right. It's like you have the choice. It's your choice.
It's your
not
choice.
anyone else. It's like your choice.
Yes. And now I think I remember the card from Monday this was the King of Swords, and it was the Queen of Cups. Or it was the Queen or the King of Cups, but I think it was King and Queen coming together. So that masculine, feminine coming together. and the cups being the water. And when you reach that level in the deck of like the kings and the queens, it's more this mastery, like this cup energy of mastering your emotional competency and emotional capacity and emotional responses to self of, well, I disturbed my peace. That also means that I can like come back to
Right, I can
bring the peace back in. Yes. And then the last question on here is, what is your relationship with prayer?
Oh, that's very interesting.
Really?
That's very interesting because, well, I mean, can I share?
Yes, go ahead.
It's
Go
very
ahead.
interesting because I was not raised super like religious. Like, I
Mhm.
grew up celebrating holidays. Like, I'm on my mom's side, I'm Jewish. On my dad's, I'm Christian.
Me
What are
too.
you?
Me
No,
too. Oh my, oh, me too.
Are we the same person? Did we just become best friends? This would give me a stepmother's
Yes.
moment.
So wait, I have to share because the audience
Stop.
doesn't know this, because just before our conversation, we both realized that we're only children.
And your mom's too.
And my mom is
And your
Jewish,
dad.
and my dad is Christian.
Okay, well, it's just we're the same person.
We're sisters.
We're sisters. Oh my God, yeah, separated at birth. So yeah, I grew up doing the holidays. Well, I was bat mitzvah. I had a bat mitzvah.
Me too.
Okay, wow.
But I celebrated both.
Yeah, celebrated both.
Okay.
I think they tried to put me in Sunday school when I was really little, and after 3 days, I was like, no. I did Hebrew school for a little bit also.
Me too.
No.
I cried. I had like one memory of my mom pulling me out of the car, and I was like, I don't want to go.
I was so set on like going to Hebrew school to the point, and it was like expensive, I think. So my mom, being a musician, offered, she like was gonna play music, like be like a guitar teacher
Aw.
to like offset.
Yes.
And she was doing that, and then I was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, wait, what do you have to like learn things?
I hated it. I was like dissociating the whole
like, I don't like this. But it's funny because then in college, I actually took a semester of Hebrew.
Oh, cool.
And I've been to Israel. I definitely feel like I've related more to like my Jewish side.
Mhm.
I think I just had more, I feel like more accepted and more in common with like that side of my family.
Gotcha.
So I leaned more that way. But never, I mean, I don't really feel like I ever actually prayed or really had any sort of relationship with religion or God or whatever the spirit you believe in.
I get
until later I got way more into like energy and like the universe. Well, I'm really into my dancing now, and in the dance community, there's a very, very large like religious component.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I got into it, started like meeting new people and friends, and there are some people who are Jewish.
Okay.
There's a large subset that are like or Catholic, and very they go to church, they go to mass, like
Yes.
very in touch or in tune with their religion. It's a big part of their life. And at first I was kind of like nervous because I was like, oh, that's not like me or my upbringing. And I kind of had my own preconceived notions of things, about religion, about the church. But I was like, you know what? Like, I like these people. I'm open to learning. I'd like to learn more. And like, they're accepting of me not being this way. So,
yeah.
And I will say, I catch myself saying a lot of things like, God is good.
Aww.
The Lord provides. And at first, I was kind of like, it was like as like a funny thing. But no, I truly believe it. And when I say it, I mean it. And like, I'm not, I'm not going to church or synagogue, but I do feel like I realized you could have a relationship with prayer and with whatever you believe in, even if it doesn't look like maybe what everyone else looks like.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that question popped up because, like I said, the last few months, I feel like I've really have accepted or allowed in this like relationship. And I'm moving more, like, I used to always say like manifesting, which I still believe in, but I almost feel like now the manifesting is turned more into prayer.
Wow. That's so cool.
Whereas before I kind of had, like I said, these like preconceived notions or these beliefs, like what that meant.
Yes.
Whereas now I'm like, oh no, like I can have a relationship with God and prayer without like going to church.
Without it being a more like structured religion.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yes. But it just your openness to explore that and to be flexible and curious about other people's beliefs and having the connection to the dance community that opened you up to a connection more so with God, or maybe a relationship where you might be conversing or speaking and praying, that yeah is no different than maybe the way that you were doing that with like energy, or the way we wish for something.
Right.
But when it's again that trust of something that you're connected to, whatever word you want to use. And strangely this year, because I too never really identified with a specific religion. I grew up going to Sunday school or Hebrew school and synagogue for like the high holidays, and then went to an elementary school for the first 3 years, first, second, and third grade, that was predominantly African American. And so everyone there pretty much identified as Christian. And so I felt very confused because my original like preschool and kindergarten was at a Hebrew school. And I was terrified to share that I was Jewish.
Yeah.
And so I kind of let that leave until later in life, closer to when I was bat mitzvahed, of like, okay, I'm doing this kind of because it's my mom's side of the family. Like I didn't fully understand a lot of it. But then with spirituality and coming into that, of relating to, something that is like greater than me, but also feels a part of me.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly, like, I'm absolutely grateful that I had the upbringing I did where I kind of got exposed to both sides of the issues, because I feel like now, like as an adult, I think it's been empowering that I've been able to explore this on my own time and like make these choices and decisions versus it kind of being pushed upon me, and then like feeling ashamed if I like chose differently, versus like it's just open to me and I can figure out what works for
what
me.
resonates. Yeah.
It's funny. So one of our dance events happened to fall on the first night of Hanukkah, and so there was obviously Christmas decorations as do during the holidays.
Yeah.
But someone brought a menorah for the first night of Hanukkah, and there's like I said, only a few of us that were Jewish. And one of my friends like found me and was like, "Hey, we're gonna light the candles. Do you want to come?" And it's like honestly, it touched me so much because again, I know I'm not as like I don't practice in the way they do. Like I don't, I'm not as religious in that sense.
Yeah.
So the fact that they like thought to include me, one, just meant so much to me. And like being able to light the menorah, sing the blessings, it was nice because that's not something I honestly like do a lot all the time. I don't, if I'm by myself, like I'm not really gonna do it by myself. So to me, that just honestly was like such a special moment. And I loved that in the community we were like recognizing and celebrating all.
Yes. And that too, right? Of like, there's religion, and even beyond just Christian, Catholic, Jewish, or Orthodox, and there's Buddhism, and there's so many other practices that also, though, if you really look deep, are so similar, like overlap in so many ways. It's a different name for maybe a higher being that you are praying to or believe in or connected to.
Yeah.
And to just have that like greater picture, but to feel included and invited by people who also know like your upbringing or what you have identified with, but also can identify with the Lord in some way. That's where I think like the power is, like that more authentic power or raw, real power, not the right way power.
Right. And I think, yeah, and that's exactly it. I feel like if I was met with that, I would have ran to the hills. You know what I mean? But the fact that it was like no one's like pushing anything, and it's just at least I feel that it's much more open, curious. Hey, if you want to learn more, I'm happy to answer your question.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's fine. And yeah, it's been really cool, and I'm really happy and like grateful for the experience because again, I feel like at the end of the day, humans have way more in common with each other than we don't. But you have to be open and curious and
curious.
Where we're all at the end of the day, we all get born, we all die. Like
more similarities than we probably recognize or let ourselves lead from.
But it's funny, like a few months ago, or weeks ago, I had said something about like, oh, like God is good, Lord provides, and like someone that's known me my whole life looked at me and was like, what did you just say? Ooh. And I like repeated, and they're like, never in my life did I think I would hear those words come from your mouth, because like they're older, like they've known me since like a baby, like they're like friends with my mom. So they knew how I was raised and have never heard me speak about
In that way.
that way. They were
Yeah.
just and they were like, they were here for it. They're like, I love this. I'm like, I love this. Like,
Incredible.
and it's true. I feel like they'll once I started kind of accepting it and actually truly believing it, well, the Lord does
Things
provide.
change.
God is good.
I am there with you, and I have never really been that way either. Have you been to church? Have you been before?
I've been before. I remember in high school, I had a friend who him and his family went to church, and they took me one.
Okay.
So I'm like, I've been open. Like I'm pretty much open to anything at least once.
Yeah.
So I just need information.
Yeah.
And then I can decide.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, then how can I make decisions? So yeah, I've been to church. It's been a long, long time. I think one of my best friends from high school, she married into a Catholic family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my first like Catholic wedding and like all that.
Oh, I see.
So
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm open to anything once. So if any of my friends are like, "Hey, Alex, come to mass with us," I've never been, but like, sure, I'll go.
Sure.
Like, I might embarrass you because I have no idea what's happening, but like,
yeah,
take your half to
yeah, just open me up to like
yeah.
that curiosity. This is the first, so I had never been, but there's been something about this year, like 2025. And so back in early 2025, like January, my writing group, two of the women there are pretty religious on like the Christian side. And all of a sudden that became more of the discussion in our poetry. We meet weekly in our writing group. And one of the women just reached out to me and she was like, Amanda, I have this feeling that you may want to come to church with me.
Oh, no.
Well, so the wild thing about it was in December, I guess my husband and I at the time, we were going to a restaurant in the area that we live in. And when we got to the restaurant in the parking lot, there was this church that it's in a business complex. So it's like more of like the new age kind of churches, but I didn't know what it was. I looked at it, I was like, what is that? And he's like, I think it's a church. And I was like, oh, and it's called Grace. So that is the name. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. We went to dinner. Then later that night, I just decided, I don't know where it came from, to look up the church. I was like, Googled it and I went to their website and I looked at it and I was like, huh, okay. That was the church where the woman saw. Yeah. So I didn't know that when she first said, Amanda, I just have this feeling that you may want to come to church with me. At first, my immediate body response was no.
Right.
Yeah. But then when she told me where it was, I was like, that's a sign. I have to go.
Wow. Well, it's funny. So when I left, so before our first episode, or when we chatted, before we met, my last night before leaving, I had a really early flight. So I went dancing. So I was like, I gotta go dancing. So I stayed out all night. So I'm gonna dance and then go to the airport because my flight was early.
Okay.
And so after dancing, I ended up sitting on church steps with one of my friends from dance who is more religious.
Yeah.
And we literally chatted for hours about religion on church steps.
See? Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to know more because to be honest, my issue is not with religion. It's more so people's behavior and like the power in the church.
Yes.
It's not, I love that people believe in something higher than them and believe in miracles. Heck yeah. Please pray for me. I need all the prayers. Like, I accept all your prayers.
Yes.
It's
I want to pray for you.
Right. It was more so, my feelings towards it were more so, you know, the things you hear in the news and just people's behaviors, which you can get in anyone in power has, can do that. But again, what the stigma, I would say, I guess, around the church and just some of the things you hear, it kind of painted a bad picture and put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not judging people who go to church if you're not judging me for not going to church. It's for me, it's like the hypocrisy and the judgment. Like, if I'm not judging you, don't judge me. Also, if you are that religious, you shouldn't be judging me because I'm pretty sure that's part of it.
Exactly.
Love that neighbor.
Exactly.
And I realized through like the last few months too, is that like a lot of how I am as a person, live my life, I actually am more probably Christian living than most who maybe go to church every day.
Wow.
I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm like, I live by a lot of these rules. I just
Look
didn't
at that.
even realize it.
Like, you believe in them and weren't specifically. And I think that's what can be so beautiful about it is not I have to live this way versus I naturally am, and this fits.
Yeah.
And now I have like an openness, or is what you're saying, like can take in more of the pieces that resonate for you, that build a more fulfilling life for you, because there is a faith, or there are miracles, and there is this divine timing, and there is this feeling again of like deep, safe, grounded trust from having a faith or belief in something that you choose.
Yeah.
And so that's it's just so wild, like these stories, but the calling, it felt like the timing of this woman inviting me to church. I went with her 3 times. It was cool to experience, but yeah, not my thing. But and then she was not being pushy, but she, I think, was just continually being consistent in inviting me.
Yeah.
And then she stopped. And I don't think it was because I said like no. I think my timing for it kind of expired or completed its path, its mission. So, and that sounds similar for you with the community, or sitting on those steps and this question.
Yeah, that's
helping us
so
to this topic.
wild. And like I said, yeah, I'm intrigued. Like for me, I think we're all better people when we surround ourselves with people who do not think like us. Because then we're learning and we're growing. And you have to be open to it. And so you're not going to agree and of course there's certain things that are, can be kind of deal breakers or non-negotiables. But again, I think, yeah, staying open-minded and curious and being willing to learn, and like, I like learning and knowing things. I still feel like I still have to ask my friends, like, what's the difference? I'm like, I get confused. I'm like, how is this different from that religion? And they'll be like, well, it's actually very similar. But like, here are the things that are so different, like the smallest differences. I'm like, okay, like, I'm trying. So I do want to understand, because again, if these people in my life are important to me and this is important to their lives, I want to take interest in that and like understand it, even if I don't maybe always agree, or I'm not gonna convert or whatever.
Yeah, just being open and curious and wanting to know, and that shows interest and connection, even in the different facets, right? There's so many different forms of Christianity and Judaism.
Right. Oh yeah,
too. And people can say they're Jewish but they practice differently. And just to hear someone's story or what they believe in about it, and being open-minded is so key and so powerful.
Wow, those
these cards,
they did want to come out.
Yes. So I pulled 2 this morning. The one was the Page of Cups, which the word under it was curious. So I wanted to share that. But then the second one, which I'm blanking, but I want to read it if I can remember what it was, because there was a prayer in the.
Oh, how funny.
Yes. It was. Because then I think it would be helpful to read the prayer. I think it was the Devil card.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So what I liked about this version of the Devil, so Devil is Capricorn and I'm a Capricorn. And so it's like technically my card. And I've had a lot.
Wait, when's your birthday?
January 18th.
Oh, that's so funny. Because I'm on the cusp. I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh.
But I'm like the cusp of Capricorn.
Of that. Yeah.
That's
yeah. You're right there. So you probably have some, influence there. And I usually feel a lot of resistance. I'm like, the devil, oh, yuck. But I've embraced it so much more. And what I like about this like summary of the devil in here is the devil really asks you to get clear on what your true desires are. Like, what are your deepest, darkest desires that maybe you shamed and repressed because society viewed desiring that as bad, or the negative kind of side.
Yeah, that made me think of like the shadow work, right?
Yeah,
like people are so afraid of their shadow side, but really once you get open-minded and curious about it, there's nothing to be afraid of. Your shadow side was really that part that was pushed away for XYZ reasons, and once you kind of learn to integrate it, it doesn't hold as much power or isn't as scary anymore. And I feel like that could be the same for like the devil.
That's what this says. The reading of it says this is the shadow work card. So I won't read all of it, but literally it's like the devil's the gatekeeper of your wild. It talked about but yeah, and so it has devotional exercises in each one. And I've pulled the devil card before, even recently with this book, and I didn't read the devotional exercise, but I read it this morning. And That's where I thought,
Well, it's funny too, one of my journal prompts for this month for myself was, about, like, what does devotion look like for myself?
oh,
And, like, if no one's
ooh,
watching, like,
what is it?
what is my devotion
Yeah.
to myself?
Oh, that's beautiful too. However, I am wrong about the prayer. So I pulled the Page of Cups, the Hangman, and the Devil this morning. And the Hangman, I think it was worth us talking about the Devil. The Hangman is about like surrendering into your freedom, at least from this booklet, and that's where the prayer is. So I can read it out loud, because it says, for this practice of surrender is handing over things beyond your control through ritual or prayer. Here is where you invoke the goddess. And so it invites you to name all the things that you want to hand over to the hanged man or the goddess. It's like this tree and you're hanging from the tree. So handing over these things and let the higher power take care of you. So the prayer says, Goddess, goddess, see this light. Goddess, goddess, hear my plight. Upon this altar I do declare all that I wish to spare. Remove it now, remove it with ease. Goddess, goddess, release it from me. With ego mind now asleep, my heart beats strong with each gone thing. Goddess, goddess, heal within me. I open my arms, ready to receive. Goddess, goddess, lay your blessing on me. I will walk your path, be your light. O goddess, let this prayer take flight. I release it now. As above, so below, my prayer is done. So that might be a nice way to close out 2025 as
Yeah.
well. Just thinking about the year for so many people, even self, and leaving behind and surrendering isn't a loss. What's out of your control and letting something else hold that and guide you.
And honestly, I almost, again, back to, like, the divine timing, I
Mm-hmm.
almost feel like if I am fully, like, trusting in, like, myself and, like, the universe or a higher, I truly do feel like what was put in my life, it's gonna make me emotional. I feel like what and who was put in my life this year was for a reason, to help me get through what's been the hardest
Mm-hmm.
part of my year. And in a way, it's like I needed to believe in something bigger than me and myself, and I needed people to also believe in that and show me and me there because, without the community, without the
Mm-hmm.
people, without the prayer, and without, like, believing in miracles and the trust, I don't know if I would have survived
It
this year,
gives you
honestly.
that strength completely. And the reminder of what comes to me is like just being so loved for yourself and from others and the divine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, if I hadn't been open to it, I might have missed it completely.
Yes. Same. Same. I think it's what's like, I'm so grateful for those same things. The people, the openness to miracles and sharing that. Like I could be open to miracles and be like, oh, there's a miracle, great. But like to put it out there and be like, there was this miracle today and I want to tell you about it and to have others get excited about it
And,
and to
like,
hear other
sharing
people
within
say
it,
it. Yes,
like a ripple effect.
it is. So thank you for sharing yours.
No, and thank you. I feel like, yeah, I love that. Again, the universe put us
I know.
together, like, so all
Some of
this
us
can
chills.
happen. I
Yeah.
know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I keep saying it's crazy, but it's not crazy. It's, like, divine timing, and I truly do believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Me too.
I truly do. I know, like, people sometimes are like, "Alex, it's so naive to think, like, everything happens for a reason," but I really do think everything happens for a reason, whether we know that reason or
Mm-hmm.
not, and
Mm-hmm.
however long it takes to find out. Maybe we never know the reason. Maybe the reason it just leads us to something else.
Yes. Right. Right. Something can be short lived. And often our ego mind puts like this projection on it of what we think we want. That's like the devil clinging
Mm.
versus no, this was here for some other meaning. And can I be open to having the meaning present itself? And when we view it that way, and I don't know if this will land for everyone, but when I say everything happens for a reason, I feel like I'm orchestrating it. Like my subconscious is orchestrating my decisions
Mhm.
and what I'm perceiving and the people, the experiences, the events that I have stepped into, then I'm like, well, I created that. I maybe didn't want it to be this way,
But
this is happening, and it's for me for
yeah,
something.
yeah, I definitely don't mean it in like the passive way. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like a passive
Mm-hmm.
thing. No, I'm an active participant
Yeah.
in things happening for a reason.
Yes. So not just like a fate destiny, like
Yeah.
it's written already.
Right. I feel like some ways there are some
Yeah.
things.
It's
but
just when you get to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's some things you get detoured longer because of what you choose or don't choose. But
Yes.
eventually, like what is meant for you. I do believe that what's meant for you will not miss you.
Same.
And it'll just keep circling you until you're ready.
Until you're ready. Yeah. And when you trust in that, it's like, okay, it's going to happen. I'm not going to miss it. Instead of, I got to figure it out. And like, oh no, like that's human. But when you can come back to this approach, I think it's just very helpful.
I agree. And I think one of my last blogs was kind of about like, I was so busy trying to attach meaning to something, I almost missed the real meaning. Because I was trying to intellectualize too quickly of like,
that's good
well,
too.
that's this meaning. But then I luckily stopped myself and realized, oh, this actually was showing something completely different. And if I hadn't slowed down and been open to it, I would have missed
I like
that.
Yeah, that's really good too. Because we're not always going to get the meaning the first time around, or again, trying too hard with one meaning. Yeah. Beautiful.
I love this.
Me too. So do you want me to still read the cards, or do you feel like we've captured them ourselves?
I feel like we kind of captured them.
Yeah, why don't we let that be? Well, anything else you want to share? Do you want to let people know where to find you? I'll also have it in the show notes. I encourage people to go back to our other episode if you didn't watch it or listen to it yet. And of course, please like, comment, subscribe, ask us questions. We're here. But if there's anything else before we wrap up.
You can find me on Substack, Your Feral Therapist, also on Instagram. And I love chatting with you.
Me
It's
too.
so fun. I'm like, we might have to do a live.
I know. Can I give you a hug?
Oh my God, please do.
Oh gosh, this is incredible and amazing. Well, thank you all so much for being here. And you amaze me, and we love you.